Good morning. Welcome back to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, welcoming you on the first day of February 2023. Yes, ang bilis pong nakalipas ang January or Enero, and we all have to now go through the month of hearts. Yung pong mga wala pa ring jowa dyan, daan nyo na lang sa dasal kay Lord. I'm sure the Lord will accommodate your prayers. But anyway, welcome to the program, and today is a Wednesday. In case you are wondering or you have lost track of your calendars and you are watching Agenda on Cignal TV channels 8 and 250. And we thank all our subscribers, those of you who watch us all over the Philippines, magmula Apari hanggang Hulo. Magandang umaga sa inyo. Thank you for joining us. And of course, to those who watch us on Facebook and on YouTube. In case you're wondering, but laging ganun si Cito? Laging thank you. Because gratitude is always a good way to start the day. Be grateful we are all alive. We got out of bed. We are functional. We get to have breakfast, or at least you get to have breakfast, and that you have something to look forward to or something to do. Okay, now let's get on with our daily starter. But before I say that, maraming salamat din, of course, to PLDT Home Fiber Optic Internet. Okay, and our daily starter for today comes from Elizabeth Gilbert. You need to learn how to select your thoughts just the same way you select your clothes every day. This is a power you can cultivate. If you want to control things in your life so bad, work on the mind. That's the only thing you should be trying to control. So yan po, no? If you want to have a great day, if you want to have a great life, control your thoughts, piliin mo kung ano yung pag-iisipan mo o paglalaanan mo ng panahon. The same way pumipili ka ng damit na isusuot sa umaga. Okay, very good point from Elizabeth Gilbert, because many of us never really give that a thought. And I've recently undertaken a practice that the minute I wake up, I turn over, I do my praying position, and I start the day by saying, thank you, Lord. Thank you, I am alive, and I surrender everything to you. Everything that I'm about to say, do, or think, I surrender to you. And you know, this surrender kind of removes the burden, removes the pressure. Okay, anyway, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And interesting events by coincidence. Okay, anyway, let's go to the front page. The headline, Rex Gatchalian named new DSW Secretary. Sabi ko po, interesting coincidence, because his brother is going to be joining us, none other than Senator Win Gatchalian, for so many subject matters that he will be explaining to us. Anyway, former mayor of Valenzuela City, Rex Gatchalian, has now been named as the new DSWD Secretary, replacing former Secretary Erwin Tulfo. And Gatchalian twittered his appreciation and thanked the president for giving him a bigger opportunity to serve the country. At the top of the front page, economic managers allay senators' Maharlika fears. We are going to be talking about practically everything on the front page. Pag-uusapan po natin today with Senator Win Gatchalian. But anyway, in a meeting with the senators, economic managers allayed the fears regarding the Maharlika Investment Fund. Meanwhile, 1 million bivalent jabs or vaccines from COVAX arriving in March. Ayun po, yesterday, binasa po natin, we announced that the OIC, Maria Rosario Vergere, said that they have received a donation from COVAX. Ngayon may petsa na. It will be in the month of May. And then ito po, this is another topic we will be discussing with our guest today. Student suicides on the rise. Okay, according to this article from the Philippine Star and according to an official of the Department of Education, none other than DepEd Assistant Secretary Dexter Galban, 404 students committed suicide in 2021 because of the mental health issues related to the COVID pandemic and lockdowns. Meanwhile, 2,147 students attempted to commit suicide. And so we have a very serious problem and it has to be addressed. And by coincidence, Senator Gatchalian also worked on a bill, is pushing for a bill that is called Basic Education, Mental Health and Well-Being Bill. And we will also discuss that with the good senator. The IMF, in the meantime, retains the Philippine growth outlook. Okay, walang pagbabago. Sinabi ng IMF, pareho pa rin ang kanilang projection for growth of the Philippines. So we will see. Meanwhile, the big center photo of the Philippine Star today is about President Marcos showing a copy of the Philippine Star before placing it in a time capsule during the groundbreaking of the Pambansang Pabahay program para sa Filipino housing project in Batasan Hills. BBM is thinking of a 1 billion subsidy fund for housing program. Sana po magkatotoo and sana naman it prioritizes the truly poor, helps those who are less under the poverty line to get a start in life at hindi po yung katulad ng Bliss Housing na public housing nangyari, napunta kung sino-sinong opisyal. Okay, anyway, Philippines suspends accreditation of recruitment agencies in Kuwait. The Philippine government has suspended the accreditation of foreign recruitment agencies in Kuwait following the brutal killing of Filipina domestic helper Julie Ranara. Okay, the Department of Migrant Workers spokesman Toby Nebrida yesterday confirmed the implementation of new regulations for foreign recruitment agencies. Okay. Meanwhile, below that, we have a photo of Commission on Elections Chairperson, Chairman George Garcia assisting an elderly woman during the last day, yesterday, of registration for the barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan polls at a mall in Manila yesterday. Next to that, Orion to perk up onion industry. Hindi po ito yung tala or yung nakikita nyo sa alapaap or, it is not a star. It is an acronym, yet again, created by the Department of Agriculture. To support onion farmers and increase domestic supply, the Department of Agriculture will launch the Optimization and Resiliency in the Onion Industry Network or Orion program. In other words, magpapautang sila. They are going to make a loan available to people interested in or are engaged in onion farming. Ayan, pautang at pamigay siguro ng mga binhi ba yun or seedlings or what or seed. Anyway, ito po, warning for all of you, okay? Whether you live in Forbes Park or you live in Tondo or Addition Hills, be careful with your LPG tank. This photo is a photo coming up of 16 people hurt in Malate laundry shop blast because of an LPG leak at a wash and laundry shop. Kasi may mga laundry shop gumagamit ng malalaking LPG for drying. Ewan ko, I don't know if it's the same situation here, but what happened is sumabog po and that's why kami, yung aming LPG ay nandun sa labas. Okay, so be careful and always check your hoses and your regulators. Last piece of news is a sad piece of news, significant decliner, okay? Kapuna-punang lagpaker. Kapuna-punang lumalagpak. Philippines ranks 116 in Global Corruption Index. Okay? Yan po, according to the Transparency International, okay, the Philippines is a significant decliner regarding Corruption Perception Index. Ayun. So, kumbaga sa pananaw, sa tingin, sa impression, ang Pilipinas, matindi pa rin ang corruption in government and in business. Okay, let's go for a quick break. And when we return, magpapaturo tayo sa one of our favorite resource person here on Agenda. We'll be right back after a quick break. Okay, welcome back to the program Agenda. And as I mentioned already, our guest is Senator Win. But let's do this properly. Gabriel, please roll out the proper introduction of Senator Win Gatchalian.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian has been working at the Senate since 2016. Currently, Gatchalian serves as chairman of the Senate Committee on Ways and Means as well as the Senate Committee on Basic Education. Prior to being a senator, Gatchalian served as 1st District Representative and Mayor of the City of Valenzuela.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Senator. Welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Cito, and Happy New Year.
Yes, same to you. And well, although you've been such a busy individual, and that's good to know, medyo nag-pile up naman yung topics natin.
Oo nga.
Ang dami. But,
Sorry about that.
you're the chairman of the Senate Committee on Education. And I have to confess, medyo na-shock ako this morning when I was reading the news about 404 Filipino students who committed suicide in 2021. And, you know, that is an issue that I'm very sensitive about. Apparently, you are pushing for a bill on basic education mental health. Now, could you give us background? Were you aware of the suicides before you pushed for the bill, or did you just run alongside this incident?
Actually, Cito, kinikilabutan ako pag pinag-uusapan natin to. I was equally shocked and saddened with the data that was disclosed to us yesterday. Just for the information of everyone, our listeners and televiewers, yesterday with a hearing on mental health for basic education, basically strengthening the mental health programs in our schools, as well as getting more guidance counselors to roll out the mental health program. And to lay down the premise, we asked the DepEd on vital statistics, and it came out in just one school year, 2021-2022 school year, 404 students committed suicide in our public schools. 2,100 students attempted suicide, and almost 700,000 students called the DepEd hotline to report some form of mental distress. So these are the numbers, and one life lost is too many, Cito. And I was shocked, to hear that, and equally shocked when the experts that we invited yesterday, mental health experts, told us that this number is actually increasing, and it got exacerbated during the pandemic, because during the pandemic, a lot of our students, all of our students, got stuck in their homes. They were not allowed to go back to school for 2 years. So because of that phenomenon, a lot of our students didn't have access to their teachers, to their friends. They have no one to talk to except for parents. And because of that, the mental health issues among our students actually aggravated. And that's a huge issue that we have to attend now and in the next few years. Okay,
I'm you know, I really don't know how to say this, Senator, but in an odd way, in a very strange way, I'm glad that this information came out at the Senate hearing yesterday. But, my question is, why do we only find out after the 404th suicide? We should have heard about this when there were 5, when there were 10, or when there were 20. 404 is a national disaster. What did the DepEd have to say for themselves regarding this? It's not their fault, but this should have been brought to everyone's attention.
Cito, you're absolutely correct. No, that 404 number is just a span of 12 months. No, in some cases, this can be a massacre already, and the reason for that is we have very shallow understanding and appreciation of what mental health is. In fact, if you ask ordinary Filipinos about mental health, they have a very vague idea of what it is. Marami sa mga constituents natin, pag may nararamdaman sila, let's say depression, sense of loneliness, sense of belonging, a lot of the advice coming from their own parents and from their own friends, itulog mo na lang yan, nagugutom ka lang, kain ka na lang. And little do they know that the person is already, or the child, for this matter, is already experiencing depression and anxiety. And a lot of our LGUs, and I'll be candid about it, also have very shallow understanding of mental health. A lot of our doctors, our nurses are professionals. They know basic health problems, but they're not trained with mental health. And this is also another gap in our services at the local government level.
Okay, now you are pushing for this bill. What exactly do you hope to achieve with your basic education, mental health, and health and well-being bill?
Okay, Cito, we have 23 million students in our public schools. We have almost 4 million students in our private schools. So that's about 27 million students going to our basic education system. That's 1/5, almost a fifth of our population. But we have, yesterday in our hearing, we found out also there's a hodgepodge of program targeted to our basic education students. Actually, yesterday it came out that the only recurring program is the celebration of the Mental Health Month, no? Which is quite superficial in my opinion. So in order to strengthen our mental health program in our basic education schools, we will institutionalize a sustainable program. And another feature of the bill is, in order to roll out this program, we need to hire mental health professionals, specifically guidance counselors. Just to give you an idea, Cito, at the ratio of 1:5, meaning one guidance counselor to 500 students, we will need approximately 47,000 guidance counselors, because without the guidance counselors, you cannot roll out mental health programs.
Yeah.
But in our country, because the salary is low, the course is not so attractive, we only have 4,000 guidance counselors. So we are missing close to about 43,000 guidance counselors. So in order to fill that gap, we created another position, which is lower than guidance counselor, but equally can perform almost a function of a guidance counselor. So we can roll out as many guidance counselors as possible to our schools.
Okay, now, so providing the person, the go-to person, if you already have a problem. But what about preventing the problem? Because, you know, Senator, I think you were involved in it also. If you recall, in 2021, there was an issue involving St. Louis University and even students in Ateneo. And they were already halos mag-rally na sila, mag-protesta na sila, saying we need academic breaks. Parang generational issue di ba? Difference of generation. Panahon natin sasabi sa tatay na, dami mong arte, mag-aral ka, pumasok ka. Okay? But now, I realize students are bombarded with so many subjects, so many requirements, and sabi ko nga, ako lang mag-prepare sa isang PowerPoint presentation na kukurta na utak ko. What about the students? What about the calendar of schools, the academic load, etc.? Kasi parang wala naman talagang bakasyon ng estudyante ngayon. Unlike in our time, you know, we had two months. Tara sa Boracay, tara sa Baguio, or tara sa bundok.
I'm not an expert, mental health expert, Cito, no? But my own observation based on talking to experts, the biggest difference between your generation natin, and the generation now is basically the internet. Everyone now is interconnected. Flow of information is not by hours, minutes, it's by seconds.
Yeah.
And also the social media now, which is a very popular platform among the youth, has very sophisticated algorithms. In fact, nakakatakot nga. I was watching this documentary about TikTok and how TikTok actually program itself to give you what you want. Para siyang drugs, no? Kung ano yung sinasurf mo, ano yung nararamdaman mo, yun ang ipapakita sa'yo. And just imagine, no? Children now with access to the internet, access to different emotions, access to information, wala talagang break yung kanilang pag-iisip. Unlike tayo, walang cellphone before.
Yeah.
So, uwi natin, talagang disconnect na tayo sa mundo. No? All we have, ano na lang tayo, nakikipag-usap sa family natin. So,
or punta ka sa basketball court.
I think that alone speaks that the youth right now is experiencing much different a much different environment compared to us, and the approach should be different to what we feel. That's why experts are needed. That's why we're lobbying to get more experts in our schools, because the youth is experiencing a different environment compared to the generations before.
Yeah, I notice, Senator, and I hope you don't mind. No, I'm not trying to be the smart ass here. I just realized, because my daughter is studying abroad. I have a few friends who are studying abroad. Yung system nila is so different. The system there is they work so hard for 2 weeks and then they have a 1 week break. These are college students, no? Literally, and then work na naman. And then also sa exams nila, you take the exam now, if you fail, you can do a resit. Because ang philosophy nila is, this is not a pass-fail system. This is a system that make tests what you know, and then having failed the first exam, you know better, you know where you studied or prepared wrong. Now you can retake it. And actually, the students are rewarded for improving their performance. And I don't know what has changed. You're the chairman of the committee. Has there been a change in the way we are teaching, conducting the education?
That's actually the Finland system. Cito, when I went to Finland, I was surprised. Wala silang examination. And the teachers are given absolute freedom to determine whether their learners are learning or not. And they are given the discretion to pass the learner to the next level. Wala silang exam. It's purely what you said, no? On what they learn. And Finland is, in terms of quality and international assessment, is always top 10. No?
Top 10. So, and that system is what my daughter is undergoing in the Netherlands. So yes, it's spread throughout Europe.
Yeah. We need to study that very carefully. I was thinking about that when I went to Finland. No? And is that applicable to, first of all, our type of culture? In the Asian culture, exams are part of the culture. No, I think if you look at even Singapore, even China, they have examination. I think it's also embedded in our culture. And then number two is also our development. We're not a first world country yet. We're still a developing nation. And a lot of even our teachers have a different cultural appreciation of education and examination. So I don't know if we are, I'm not very sure if we are in that level of maturity already to give our teachers the absolute freedom to determine whether their learners are learning or not, no, without an examination. So, but definitely that's a case to study. It's something that we can study. It's something that we can look at, whether that's a perfect fit for our country.
Yeah, and also, you know, not being so calendar-based ba? Yung you have to be in school X number of days a year, you have to be in the classroom X number of hours a year, and if you don't, you fail. Parang sabi ko, bakit sa UP nung panahon namin? I don't know. You went to UP as well, or were you Ateneo, Senator?
No, I went to the US.
You went to the US. Ewan ko sa US, but sa UP, I remember, pumasok ka, hindi ka pumasok, problema mo yun. Depende yun sa teacher at basta pumasa ka ng exam.
Tama. Ganyan rin sa US. It's, they don't grade you by the amount of time you go to school. No, it's really about the exam. But those are college students, Cito, no? They're called independent learners. So the students in college are mature enough to study on their own. But for non-independent learners, we need to study carefully, no, what type of approach that
siguro yung high school level man lang.
Siguro kaya high school, no?
Yeah, okay. Anyway, Senator, pasensya ka na, medyo shift gears ko, no, because alam ko very busy ka. Okay, basic education bill, you're pushing for that. I do hope it really happens. Now, the next issue, POGO. Alam mo, cheerleader mo ko eh. Talaga gusto ko mawala na yung POGO na yan. Although, you want to be fair, I understand that. But based on what I've read in the papers, you seem to have taken a clear position that you want POGO out already. Could you clarify that for our viewers?
I'll wear my Ways and Means hat, Cito, because I chair two committees, and the Ways and Means was tasked to study the benefits and the social cost of POGO. And based on our research, and also we conducted surveys, almost 58%, no, almost 60% of our constituents find POGOs harmful to our country, because of crime, because of gambling, because of all the social costs. And we are working so hard. The president is flying around the world. Everyone's trying to lure investments. But one single kidnapping, one single human trafficking, one single killing is enough to deter investments to come in our country. We want a peaceful society. We want peace and order. And POGO is not the business that is delivering stability and peace and order for our country. So we looked at also the numbers, and we found out that POGO contributes less than 0.5% to our total economy, both in terms of revenue, both in terms of gross value added. In terms of employment, it's also less than 1% of employment. So in other words, if POGO will be banned, it will not hurt our economy. In fact, it will strengthen the reputation of our country, because we will not have businesses that is creating instability and also peace and order problems for us. So that's basically the essence of our findings in the committee.
Okay, now, so how are you planning to present this to BBM? Because that was his statement. Give me data I can work with. I mean, kailangan pa ba, kumbaga di ba, sa radyo, kailangan pa bang i-memorize yan? Di ba? Because when you think about it, there were 316 incidents of kidnapping, and 214 of them were Chinese. And if you recall, the ambassador, if not Xi Jinping himself, already said, will you please stop POGO because it's hurting our nationals, and you would not like it if we conducted online sabong in China and addicted all of you Filipinos. Paano ba? How are you going to tell the president to just stop it? I mean, he stopped online sabong. I mean, my hat's off to him. Yeah. Why is POGO so much harder?
Well, the POGO has a lot of promises. Number one is revenue. And in 2019, we saw a huge influx of POGOs coming to our country. And it gave PAGCOR close to about 30 billion in a span of 4 to 5 years. It gave the BIR close to about the same amount, 30 billion in a span of 4 to 5 years. So that's about 60 to 70 billion in a span of 4 to 5 years. So in terms of absolute amount, it's quite significant. We're talking about 60 to 70 billion. Yeah. But that is not clean. Hindi malinis na 60 to 70 billion. May kapalit yan. Yung kapalit yan, kidnapping, human trafficking, killings. And
pati nga Pilipino, kinikidnap na nila.
Hindi malayo yun, Cito.
It was reported in the Senate Committee of Bato de la Rosa that 28 Filipinos were part of the 300 plus who were kidnapped in this criminality of POGO.
Yeah. Cito, crime will not go away as long as POGOs are here. And the reason for that is POGOs are operated also by criminal syndicates in China. China banned POGO in their own country. So a lot of these criminal syndicates went outside of China to operate. Hence, they're here in our country. And the videos that are flying around are actually true videos that the PNP confirmed in our hearing and also in Senator Bato's hearing. So in other words, the nature of the business, because it's illegal, a lot of the criminal syndicates are involved in that. And if this business is as attractive as what we are saying, among the 10 Southeast Asian nations here, only 2 allows POGO, the Philippines and Cambodia. Yesterday, I was talking to the Thai ambassador, and I asked the Thai ambassador, how come Thailand never attracted POGO or never allowed POGO to operate? They said, plain and simple, it's peace and order. We have tourists. Tourists is a main driver of Thailand. 30 million tourists come to Thailand. The moment we will have peace and order problems, these tourists will not come to us. So it's the social cost is just too heavy for us to sacrifice tourism. And the same with us. We're sacrificing other forms of investments, tourism, manufacturing, financial services, because of POGO. It's not clean money. Let's disentangle our minds that the money that they are paying is clean. These are dirty money because of crime.
And it's also having an effect on law enforcement and corrupting certain elements of the law enforcement community. So may mga reports na may mga nai-involved na rin na nagba-bodyguard, etc. or special tasks, etc. Now, what about PAGCOR, Senator? Because apparently you are not happy about PAGCOR. Parang they are being, so casual about all of this. Have you considered doing a investigation and audit of PAGCOR's performance? Because, they were the ones who started this online sabong, which became a national curse. They're also the ones who adopted this POGO, which is now a challenge to our peace and order and public safety. And I'm not anti-PAGCOR, but it seems walang bastonero, no one is holding them accountable, and no one is being punished for the social disaster their policies cause.
Cito, this is a classic case of conflict of interest. PAGCOR is performing two functions, a regulator and an operator. The operator has one goal, to make money. The regulator has one goal, to regulate, to stop the social ills and social costs. But obviously, profits weigh heavier than regulation. That's why we found out that even though the PNP has reported POGO licensees who are embroiled in crime, AMLA actually reported to them that several POGO licensees are not cooperating with AMLA. They still continue to operate in our shores. Because at the end of the day, for PAGCOR, it's more important to make money rather than to regulate. Because obviously, I also, revenue is important to me. That's how I teach myself. So it's a classic case. That's why the action is either too slow or no action at all. And just to give you an example, we discovered that the third-party auditor that PAGCOR employed, is also highly questionable. In fact, it's not credible at all. Wala siyang technical capability, and yet PAGCOR accredited them. I'll give you a very specific example, Cito. Doon sa terms of reference ng PAGCOR, nakasulat, you should have 1 billion pesos in operating capital. That company only has 7 million pesos in terms of equity. And then that company presented a bank certificate from a bank that is unlicensed or unregistered with BSP.
Kanya ako napapatawa, Senator, because ikaw lang yung naka-discover and who exposed that this third party or yung checker for PAGCOR ay questionable, and we've been paying them billions of pesos?
6 billion for a 10-year contract.
Okay, so I mean, who goes to jail for this? I mean, kayong mga nasa politics, sa LGU or Congress, mga kasama ninyo, may mga nakulong for plunder because they got 50 million. And then this company got 6 billion. The PAGCOR officials never even saw this, and you exposed it in one Senate hearing. Something is wrong here, and no one's doing anything about it.
Actually, Cito, we just stumbled across this because of reviewing in detail the data. I have to give credit to the team here in the Senate. They went through each of the documents that were submitted to us. And we found out all of these things. And definitely will pursue the investigation. We will file a resolution so that this matter will be transferred to the Blue Ribbon Committee, who has jurisdiction over malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance, and we will pursue this investigation. And this contract was signed in 2017, meaning the last PAGCOR administration. So they should be answerable, and they should be held to account.
Okay, held to account in what way? Who's going to chase them? And also, what do you plan to do as a lawmaker to put somebody in charge or to have a check on top of PAGCOR? Because they have too much money, they have too much elbow room, and they run to the office of the president for cover every time there's a problem. But before you answer all of that, let's go for a quick break, and let's tackle that accountability of PAGCOR. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And as always, whenever we have Senator Win Gatchalian, we learn so much. And I think Senator Gatchalian just ends up scratching his head because I end up putting so much burden on him. Senator, I am so sorry that I have to keep putting this in front of you. But, you know, like this thing with PAGCOR, you yourself said, they're guilty of contracting a third-party auditor to check them, etc., independent auditor. Turns out the auditor doesn't have the capital. Turns out that they got a bank certificate that came from a fictitious bank baraw yun, etc. And now I've been asking this question for the longest time. All other government agencies are accountable to someone. but PAGCOR is not accountable to anyone except the president. What is your reaction or your response?
Well, Cito, two things. No, I think it's really about time to split PAGCOR into two, separate its regulatory function and separate its operational function. This is a structural change that we need to do if we want PAGCOR to be answerable and accountable. As long as it's performing two functions, it's very hard to distinguish if he's missing the operational side or the regulatory side. I'll give you an example. PAGCOR will always claim, oh, we're making record profits at the expense of regulation. Of course, if you keep on regulating, you will not make record profits because you will remove airing POGOs, remove airing licensees. So structurally, we need to separate that. Long term, we need to hold these government employees to account. They're still government employees. They're not managing their own corporations. That's not their own money. It's the money of the Republic. It's the money of the Filipino people. The capital that was sink into PAGCOR is from our hard-earned taxes, and they need to be answerable to the people. So we will pursue this issue, and we have a strong case because this also ties up to the overall industry of PAGCOR. Of POGO. No, and if you have an uncredible third-party auditor, the whole business model of POGO collapses because we're reliant on the third-party auditor to give us accurate data for taxes and also for regulatory fees.
Okay. Having said that, you mentioned earlier the government or PAGCOR paid that third-party company 6 billion for services. Did I get that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Why can't we pass the audit to COA and give that 6 billion to COA?
Yeah, that's part of our recommendation also, to come up with a fraud audit, to look at in detail the compliance. I think the first question is, how did they comply with the bidding rules? Did they comply with their own terms of reference? Because from the documents that we saw, they violated their own terms of reference. Ang ganda ng terms of reference eh. In fairness, it's very strict. But the terms of reference is scrap paper if you don't follow it. And we found out that they didn't follow their own terms of reference. So hence, we have a third-party auditor now who is unqualified.
I'm assuming PAGCOR was put up based on a Republic Act or a law.
Yeah, based on a charter.
So you can make amendments or you can introduce revisions to that law. Hindi ba pwedeng ilagay na lang natin? Kasi right now, they're supposed to be directly under the office of the president. Regardless of who the president is, there is always this public perception na po-protektahan, or the office of the president will always defend PAGCOR because it gets so much money from PAGCOR directly to the OP. Second, can we not just put the auditing directly under the COA regardless of how perfect their relationships was with that third-party auditor? Kasi parang doesn't make sense. Ang pinakamagaling at pinakamabagsik na auditor sa Pilipinas, COA.
Yeah.
Why not give it to COA and give the 6 billion to COA?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Cito. COA has jurisdiction over PAGCOR and all of its transactions. In fact, in the COA report of PAGCOR, COA mentioned there that some of the reports of the third-party auditor is inaccurate. They have some issues with how the third-party auditor audits and gives the gross gaming revenue to PAGCOR. They found some discrepancies, and that's the whole point of a third-party auditor. You're supposed to give us the accurate figures. No? So COA found that out. But we will require from COA to do a much deeper audit. It's called a fraud audit, to determine whether the bidding process was indeed accurate and it was followed. At the same time, we will also ask COA to audit the overall declaration of the third-party auditor.
Okay, aside from their failure, their serious failure. I'm not talking about small failures, Senator Gatchalian. I'm talking about serious failure of online sabong, the social cost, and then of POGO. Are there other areas that you are dissatisfied with as far as PAGCOR is concerned? Because talking to you, I realize you're a lawmaker. It is the Congress and the Senate that controls franchise. And yet, PAGCOR is doing that. So parang, teka, hindi ba dapat Senate and Congress yung in charge sa franchise, and let's just remove the franchise thing from PAGCOR, let them just operate or regulate?
Yeah, well, I just hope PAGCOR, there's a new management now, under the new administration. I just hope PAGCOR, under the new management, will hold people to account. Again, the PAGCOR is not their own business. They're managing it for the Filipino people. And they have to make sure that every equity pumped into PAGCOR through taxes will be accounted for, and people who are managing will be held to account. They should never forget that this is taxpayers' money. It's not their own business. Hindi nila family business yan. Negosyo ng taong bayan, and they have to manage it well for us.
Pati yung pamimigay ng pera nila, yung funds that they earn, it is given to the office of the president, some are given to hospitals, etc. Can we not simplify it that X% goes to education, X% goes to PhilHealth or DOH, and X% goes to the office of the president? Wala na yung discretion.
In fact, I have a proposal. We filed a bill that all proceeds of PAGCOR and PCSO, yung charity sweepstakes, will go to the SWD. As simple as that. Because they're performing the same functions. In fact, there are redundancies. And because PAGCOR and Philippine Charity Sweepstakes, PCSO, are not social welfare agencies, a lot of their distribution are political or reactionary. It's not based on development and data. And the best agency to dispense assistance to our constituents is the SWD. Yan ang mandate talaga nila. So just to simplify matters, PAGCOR PCSO gives the proceeds to the SWD. This SWD gives the proceeds to our constituents.
Yeah, what about PhilHealth naman? Pasensya ka na, no?
But I mean, in concept, that can also be, some of the funds can be earmarked to health.
Yeah, kasi nangyayari, and this is for public education, so many people go to Gatchalian. Sir, yung anak ko nasa hospital. Sir, yung misis ko nanganak. But, you know, and you, I'm sure, like me, pare-pareho naman tayo, nagbibigay tayo donation to foundation na unknown. Di ba?
Yeah.
So, I'm just putting that there, Senator. But okay, before we run out of time, I only heard about this once. I don't know whatever happened to it. Freelancers Protection Act. Ano ba yan?
Freelancers Protection Act. I think this is more for to make it more attuned to the terms of recent terms. That's the gig economy.
Okay. Pasensya ka na, hindi ko naintindihan yung gig economy. Word is that you're also pushing for a bill to protect yung mga freelancer, mga self-employed, etc. Is this true?
Freelancers, basically gig economy. Kasi ngayon, with internet, of course, internet also has many good things. No? One of which is on-demand services. So for example, you need a delivery boy, you need a masseuse, no? Nagmamasahe. You need a cleaner. Everything can be now called on using your cell phone. And it's what they call on-demand system. Kung kailangan mo lang, then you call them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are now moving from formal employment to freelance/gig economy. And because they transact direct with the consumers and they earn a lot. But they also have some issues. Like, for example, there are unscrupulous consumers who book them and then end up nothing. They also have to have protection. Let's say peace and order, health insurance, and all of those things. No? So we're just making it equal, no, between the employed and the freelance.
Self-employed.
Self-employed, freelancer / gig economy.
Mhm. Okay, so what else? We have a few minutes. What are you focusing on nowadays, and what any plans in the works?
Well, I'm focusing on two things. Number one is our work in education, and we're now finalizing a bill called Aral Bill, and this will roll out a national, sort of like a national tutoring program. Because we found out that in the urban areas, 40% of our learners are not ready in terms of literacy. In provinces, almost 80%, as high as 80% of our learners are not ready in terms of literacy. So we need to come up with an intervention program. And this is because of the pandemic. So we need to come up with an intervention program to help them. And then the other one in Ways and Means is we're simplifying payment of taxes. No? So we're tweaking the tax code so that it's easier for people to compute and also to pay taxes.
Okay, well, that's interesting to know because we are nearing April na naman.
The tax season. Lapit na.
Tax season na naman tayo. But by and large, are you happy the way things are going for the Bongbong administration, or marami pa rin kailangang holes to plug?
I admire the president's determination to attract investments. That's the fastest way we can grow our economy, because our local businesses also have limits, no, in terms of capital. So we need external capital to come in. And that's the strategy of the president, going around the world, attracting investments, introducing the country. In fact, I was with Secretary Diokno yesterday, and he told us after the trip to Davos, they stayed pa for a few days to go on a road show. And that's important because alam mo yung mga investment bankers, they only read items from Bloomberg.
Yeah.
And they don't get the chance to interact with our finance people and get to know them, their qualifications. So confidence building is also very important in terms of attracting investment. So, but then again, Cito, pag andyan yung POGO, andyan yung crime, may kidnapping, kahit anong ikot natin, matatakot itong mga taong to pumunta sa atin.
Okay. Well, last question. Sino na ngayon ang mas mataas ang stature? Yung Secretary Rex Gatchalian o yung Senator Win Gatchalian?
Alam nyo, Cito, and this is only a joke, I'm not, just for ano lang. Yung plate number niya, 8, ang Congress 8 ang Senate 7. Biglang siya naging 6 na ngayon in one day. Kaya naungusan na, kahit mas matanda ako, naungusan na ako sa plate number.
May kilala akong baklas gang. Pabaklas natin yung plate number.
Pwede.
Anyway, Senator Win, thank you very much once again for your time today. We learned so much, and we sincerely hope that God will grant you favor, protection, that your recommendations to the President will be heard and acted upon, not just for your own satisfaction, but for the benefit of millions of Filipinos. God bless you, Senator.
Thank you, Cito. Thank you.
Okay, that's Senator Win Gatchalian, and kita naman nyo, as always, when we have Senator Gatchalian on the program, talagang tambak ang natututunan. That's our goal here on Agenda. And for, nagwa-wild na naman kayo dyan. Anyway, let's close the program with the blessing for the week. And it is from the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verses 9 to 10. If you say, the Lord is my refuge, and make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near you, near your tent. This is a declaration. When you choose to be with the Lord, His protection will be upon you. God bless all of you. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you for joining us on Agenda. Please keep it here on One News.